Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the Leading Edge Cricket Podcast. We're back. It's another round of county championship action in the books. Round 5 is in the books. It's a good time to be alive. We've got rain, we've got action, we've got even some results where the rain didn't impact us too much. So it's a great time to be alive. And on top of that, the website is live. We launched that a few weeks ago. If you haven't had a chance, go over to www.leadingedgecricket.com. You can find the world's first. I'm doing little quotation marks because I'm making it up like one doesn't exist, but I've not been able to find one. County Championship stats dashboard that gives you all the stats from 1890 through to 2023, including this round, including ball-by-ball coverage from 2000 through to 2022, and a new video on the channel about the greatest batter of all time in County Championship cricket. Sales pitch over. How are you today, Rich?
Good. Yeah, a little bit sleepy, mate. A little bit sleepy. We had a big night at the City Ground last night for anyone who's got any passing interest in football. Nottingham Forest are trying to scrape their way to survival in the Premier League. We're getting there, slowly.
Do you think Notts are going to be doing the same thing? Cricket? Putting a cricket-related spin on Nottinghamshire?
Nottinghamshire are, they're a little bit struggling, aren't they, at the moment? So,
We'll touch on that.
Yeah, the weather, it's got to be said before we get underway, the weather hasn't been great again this week. We've lost a bit of time again, haven't we? So teams are trying to force results a little bit. So sometimes you're going to come on the good side of that, sometimes on the bad side. Not's last couple of games, certainly not been on the good side of that.
You know there's a great month where it doesn't rain much in England?
No, don't be silly.
Yeah, August.
Ooh.
But there's no red ball cricket allowed in August.
Let's not. Yeah, we cannot impact the 100, everybody.
Yeah.
We must.
Sorry, this is a high performance review with no cricket during the best period of the year to play in.
Please, if anyone wants to vent at this point, comments anywhere, just vent about the schedule, about 100 in August, no county cricket in August, whatever you want. Just have a little vent. Just join us. It's fine. It's okay.
Yeah, it's happy days because we haven't got long left before we hit a break on red ball cricket. Talking of ranting and raving and things you can write about, you can leave us a 5-star review available on any podcast platform. Goes a long way to help out the podcast, which I think last week peaked at number 4 in the UK cricket chart. So good to be back and good to be moving in the right direction and good to be moving into county championship action here. Rich, whereabouts are we starting off in your yellow hoodie?
Oh, what's all that about?
Well, I think you're going to a team that play in yellow. That's why.
Oh, I don't know, are we?
Hampshire. I'm guessing.
We're going South Coast, mate. We're going for the one result. The result. I mean, is a draw a result? A draw is a result, isn't it? It is
draw results.
There are results. It's a bit like weather. Always bit of weather. No, it's all weather. So we're going to go for Hampshire against Warwickshire, Rob. And Warwickshire won by an innings and 84 runs. What a win for them. They go top as well of the table after this stunning win on the South Coast. Set up by a 10-wicket performance by Chris Rushworth. That man's still got it. Veterans proving us all that we can still keep going. Hampshire got proceedings underway with this one with what proved to be a very under-par score of 229. Skipper James Vince top scoring with 75 off 92. Young opener Fletcher Middleton also recorded 49. England man Chris Wokes 3 for 45 and Rushworth just hinting at what's to come with 3 for 38. Warwickshire batted once, 410 for 8 declared. Middle order really compiling the majority of the runs. Sam Hain 85, Ed Barnard the all-rounder 95 and wicketkeeper Michael Burgess 88 contributing nicely. Opener Alex Davis at the top also chipped in with 51. Mohammed Abbas leading wicket taker in Division 1 going into this one, 4 for 55 for him. Kyle Abbott and Ian Holland a couple of wickets each. It was then the turn, Rob, of Chris Rushworth. Chris Rushworth, the destroyer, maybe? I don't know, what could we call him? He demolished the Hampshire batting card. They reduced to 9 for 35 before being dismissed for just 97 after James Vince showed a little bit of resistance, 52 not out for him. The only other man on the card to reach double figures was a certain Nick Gubbins, 21. Go on, Gubbo. With the ball, Rushworth 7 for 38 off his 13 overs to finish with 10 for 76 for the game. Wokes, England Watch, picked up a couple, but the 36-year-old Rushworth was clearly the star. Bring home the win that secured a good 22-point victory for Warwickshire. Hampshire, for all their efforts, Rob, 1 point.
Hampshire. It's going to be Hampshire's year, Rich.
I mean, it's not been looking too bad until this week.
Well, I don't. It depends what market you're trying to buy in. Like the coach has come out and said, "Well, you don't win many titles if you lose twice in a year." Well, I don't want to stat pack a coach of a county cricket team, but that's not true. That's not true.
Yep.
Since the year 2000, when there was the split to D1, D2, 9 times someone's won the championship out of those seasons, minus the COVID years, losing twice or more. None since 2013, so he's probably got a point.
Yeah.
But then, a couple of podcasts ago, we were looking at them and we're going, the batting's not great. James Vince, they win a game. James Vince going, well, we've got 3 people averaging over 50. And coming back to the same point I was making a few weeks ago, going, the batting is average at the moment. I've upgraded it from not great to average. They're averaging 26th, they're ranked 6th in the table. James Vince carrying the team with the bat at the moment. We had Ben Brown at the start of the season scoring some really important late order runs. James Vince, average, what did he say? 358 runs at 89. He's in fine form, fine fettle, but the rest isn't quite clicking. And they couldn't be more in the middle if they tried, to be honest. Top 6 averaging 32, ranked 5th. And the bowling averaging 26, that ranks 5th. 5th in strike rate, 6th in economy rate. It's just kind of real kind of level playing field for this team at the moment that for all the big up we've done, we expected, can't say you expected more than from the bowling attack. They're averaging 26. Maybe expected the bowling attack like this to be more down the 21, 22 sort of range. Keith Barker definitely underperformed in those first few games, but batting's the problem. Not the only team. Not the only team with the batting. And blown away. 16 overs. Rushworth. This is a good move for him. He's rediscovered that form that he's had for the last decade after a really quiet 2022. Glad you touched on Chris Wokes. Glad you touched on Ed Barnard as well. He made an impressive list this week at Leading Edge Pod on Twitter. We published a list of batters that average more than 40 against pace and spin since 2000 through to 2023, week 3. And Ed Barnard was the name on there that most people went, I wouldn't have expected him on this list. So well played you. You're going, great cricketer, really good move for Warwickshire. They have strengthened so well this winter and finding themselves in a really strong position in the table. I think level on points with Surrey.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I mean they're stocked, aren't they? Bowling is stocked. I mean we're going to get into a certain Henry Brooks later on, who's gone on loan from Warwickshire, and he's absolutely destroyed a lineup. They've still got Liam Norrell to come back in. They've got loads, absolutely loads. They are stocked. At the start of the year, it was all about they look okay on paper, but we don't know what they're going to look like when they start playing. Well, they're pretty good. Simple as that, isn't it? As for Hampshire, he's talking about the batting. I mean, they've got 2 players in the top 10 in Division 1 in run scorers, haven't they? In Vince with 358 and Gubbins with 328. But then, who else? Anybody else doing anything down there? That's probably the problem, isn't it? So they're just not consistent enough. Can't win anything if you're not consistent, can you?
Can't. Consistently inconsistent.
Absolutely. So let's move these things along then. Let's get across to Trent Bridge, our local place, Rob. Lancashire were the visitors for this one. This game was set up final day. 295 run chase was set to Notts across the final 2 sessions, but Notts eventually ended up having to just bat the day out to secure the draw after Lancashire had reduced Notts to 55 for 6. That's not how you're going to chase a game down. They eventually finished 138 for 9. Stuart Broad, 50 ball, 3 run knock. The Nighthawk can do a bit of the old night watchman as well there. Dig in. Lovely. Well done, Stuart. Notts got this game off to a good start, really. They bowled Lancashire out for 214. Hutton, 5 for 66, did well. England man Stuart Broad, 2 for 41. England hopeful as well. Ollie Stone in the attack as well, 2 for 58. But another England hopeful, Josh Bohannon, he had a pretty good day, didn't he, as well? Pretty good game, should I say. He top scored with 68. Bowler Tom Bailey whacked his way to an unbeaten 48 not out of just 29 balls to really frustrate Notts and make a bit of a difference with what that first innings would have looked like. In reply, Notts didn't really do much better. Finished 2-4-9 all out. Tom Bailey, Will Williams and George Balderson, all 3 wickets each for them. Williams, I thought, especially impressive, really. 3 for 31 off 17.4. Really good control and got the wickets reward as well. Notts had Hasim Hamid to thank massively for this one. He got 97 not out. Sorry, 97 wasn't he in the end, off 198 deliveries, being the 9th man out. Mulaney 27, Stone 22, Broad 26 of 29. They chipped in, but you need more than that if we're going to, if Notts are going to go anywhere this year. Lancs really then got on top in the 3rd innings. They put on 3-2-9 for 8 before declaring well into day 4. Young opener George Balderson, 91 for him, and Josh Bohannon, 92 for 92 off 132, and I believe he's now the leading run scorer in Division 1. He snuck up there. Stephen Croft 49, Tom Hartley's 58.98. Move them to declaration to set up that 295. Lyndon James, just a little mention of him though. Pick of the bowlers for 3 for 45. Great to see him really showing the all-rounder clout that he's got. Broad, wicketless. Come on, Broady. In that fourth innings chase, Notts got into a mess early and never really recovered, did they? Jimmy Anderson, 3 for 35 off 20 for him. Excellent. Jimmy's ready. Balderson as well showed his ability. 3 for 21. Young, but 22-year-old opening back. 24 and 91 for the game, plus 6 for 88 across the game with his little right-on medium paces. That's a nice little player developing there. Failures for Duckett and Hamid in this one, amongst others, but it was good to see Joe Clark get 42. He's not really done much this year, so it was good to see that. Mac Montgomery, 30. In the end, Notts got to be happy with the draw, but frustrated. Again, we've mentioned it about Hampshire. Inconsistent performance across the 4 days on this one, Rob. 3 points apiece for the game.
I was going to start with Lancashire, but I'm going to start with Notts here.
Go on, dig in.
When I was doing my research on it, I was going, doesn't feel like the batting's doing very well this year. And I was like, how can that be? Like, how can that be? Because the openers are both in pretty fine form. Duckett's probably averaging 50, Hamid probably 40, but the team's averaging 21. So I'm like, where's it going wrong? And in my notes I wrote, is it the tail? Like, are they just getting blown away? And I'm like, no. They're getting blown away at the top of the order. The openers average 42 this year. Positions 3, 4, 5, and 6 average 16. Ranked 9th in the league, just behind Kent. So that's why they're struggling. That's why they're not winning any games. And that's Slater, Clark, Montgomery, James, and I think Mulaney's batted in the top 6 at some stage as well. Getting no production out of them. Clark's looked okay for a couple of innings, but he hasn't been a dominant force in county cricket now for quite a few years, which at one stage you expect him to bounce back, but he's not quite got there. So little bit of worry there. Great to see Ollie Stone bowling with lots of pace as well. I can't remember, I watched an interview after one of the days. Guy stood at slip was talking about Ollie Stone going, it's like James Pattinson used to bowl like 148, 150 at his peak when he was down in Aussie. They're like, he's bowling faster than James Patterson was doing in the county championship at the back end of his career, so kind of 85 to 90 range. And they're like, you don't get that very often. There's a great stat in hitting against the spin book, which talks about the pace of the county championship game compared to the pace of test match cricket being one of the differences. And the stat is along the lines of 85 to 90% of the deliveries are below 81 miles an hour in the county championship, and 85 to 90% of the balls in test match cricket is above 81 mile an hour. The numbers might be slightly off, but it's essentially that what you're looking at. So it's great to see some of these guys like George Balderson scoring runs against the Stuart Broad and against an Ollie Stone bowling at a decent lick. So that makes the runs even more quality for me. And a versatile all-rounder as well. He's batted a lot at 7, but he has opened 15 times in his career. Averages 26 with about 32 with the ball. Definitely one for the future, I'd say, going forward.
Yeah, most definitely. Just had a quick look, Bohannon as well, same point really, scoring runs against good bowlers, sorry. Yes, and he is 440, he's top of the run scoring charts. That's sort of snuck up from nowhere. He's relatively consistent, but he hasn't really had a headline performance yet, has he? Unless I'm forgetting one.
No, just consistent runs, mate. His last 3 innings, 82, 95, 68. Just chipping away, got a ton early in the season, which was good. He looks in such control, mate. Like, I've watched him bat, I think it was England Lions, and I was like, man, this guy can bat. He's good. And then I've watched him on the stream sometimes. I'm like, he's just scratching around a bit. But here, he just looked like $1 million, mate. He looked like an international quality player.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see where Notts go from here, because like you said, that middle order has not been performing. Joe Clark's taking the gloves at the moment because of an injury to Tom Moores. Whether that's impacted him, he did get a few runs in this game, but we don't know. So Montgomery's in for Moores in effect, isn't he? They're also just straining to see what the best lineup is at this time of year as well. Liam Patterson-White, a player that was the leading spinner, taking wicket-taking spinner in Division 2 last year, didn't play in this game. I'm just not quite sure what's going on with Notts at the moment. I don't know if they're just starting to strain a little bit, starting to feel a little bit of the heat with the performances, and just trying to reach out for a win, aren't they? Trying to do something different to get one, and it's just not quite there for them at the moment. So
yeah, exactly.
So, yeah.
And you would have thought this chase, having a go at the chase, would have been right up their street as well with a Duckett. Duckett got cleaned up twice. Off the top of my head, I want to say it was Balderson, but I could be slightly wrong on the bowler. But cleaned up middle stump out of the ground twice, and Joe Clark in the middle order. It kind of set for them, but they're just not quite there yet.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the chase was over before it began, basically, didn't it?
It was, yeah.
Yeah,
I've been there.
yeah, absolutely. Talking of the chase, great band. I'll look them up on Spotify or anything else. Going to see them again. Nottingham band, The Chase. We're all about them at the moment. There you go. Smooth.
Named after a game show.
Well, actually not, but that's for another story. Anyway, let's move it on. Somerset, Northamptonshire. Somerset hosted Northants, and this was all about Aussie skipper, Aussie and Northampton skipper Sam Whiteman, who battered to a draw with his 269 ball, unbeaten 130. It only really, another one of them games, we seem to have had a few of these so far this year, where they're only really getting part way through the third innings. There's just not enough time, or they're just not moving the game on quick enough. So, Northants initially, first inning scored 255 with Ricardo Vasconcelos, top scoring with 70 from the top of the order. Great to see him back in the runs. James Sale also got himself 57. Lewis Gregory, really good form so far this summer, 3 for 66, whilst England spinner Jack Leach took a very impressive looking 3 for 15 off just 7 overs. In reply, Somerset had Tom Kohler-Cadmore to thank as he hit a brisk 130 off just 102 balls to put up a score of 412. Young keeper James Rue, back in the runs, Rob. 89 again for him, another impressive knock. And with the ball for Northants, Jack White, 5 for 103 off 22.3 overs for him. The third and final innings ended with Northants on 311 for 8 with Aussie Whiteman there at stumps, 130 not out, batting from number 3. Bowler Tom Taylor, second top scored with 53. Jack Leach grabbed another 3 wickets. 7-point game for Somerset, 4 points for Northants. I'm not really sure, apart from Whiteman and Leach doing pretty well, not really sure what more we can take from this one.
It was a bit like that. I actually weirdly watched quite a lot of this game. I don't know why. I'll sit there for the first session and I'm flicking between games. It might have been one day this was playing and some of the other games weren't.
Yeah.
TKC, I can just, whenever I hear Tom Kohler-Cadmore, I just hear Danny Morrison, New Zealand over-the-top T20 commentator going, oh, TKC. It doesn't sound like that either. Incredible knock. Absolutely ballistic, frenetic, hard-hitting century. Got to his century on the first over of the next day when it started, and just tracked him and stuck him in the stands. It was brilliant. 127 strike rate for his ton. Fastest century he scored, but also the fastest he's ever scored. This is quite incredible for any score over 23 in county championship cricket for a T20 player of his ilk. Maybe this is the approach he's going to take going forward, but a couple of moves in his career to get to this stage, and you're hoping it's a new page for him to kind of go forward and score some more runs. Jimmy Rue looked fantastic again. Really impressed every time. I called him Jimmy. We're best pals. Go on then, Jimmy. Just really impressed about how he goes about his business. Came across on interview as a really good guy as well. Got out reverse sweeping for 89 just before tea, but he said, look, there's no point in me nudging my way to kind of like 94, 95. I've got to try and force a result for the team, and I chose to play a reverse sweep, and I've much respect to that. And there's people who's played this game before him at the 7,270 that would have just nerdled that around. Dare I say, Babar Azam, I'm taking a white ball segue, got a load of heat from Simon Dool in the PSL about walking his way to 100 rather than trying to get the team up a little bit. Whether he did or not, that's up for debate. But really impressed with James Rue. Jack Leach looking good. 13 wickets at 31 this year. Only one behind Simon Harmer. That's a good place to be. And Somerset, they are the opposite of what we expected. Last year, they were poor with the bat, good with the ball. This year, the ball's not quite clicking. They're ranked 9th with a 34.8 average and a 3.52 economy rate, which is ranked 9th as well. But the batting lineup averaging 28 is ranked 4th, so it's kind of a bit skew whiff, if you ask me.
Just a bit, yeah. Kohler-Cadmore, I thought he was a fantastic young player. He just not quite fulfilled that potential, has he? He's not quite clicked. Maybe this is a sort of knock in the era of, dare I say the word, Bazball, that maybe now it's like, that's how I need to be batting. Because he is talented. He is sort of serious ability. If he can settle here and get scoring some runs, I think he did say, I think I caught a little bit of it saying, there's going to be some ugly dismissals, but if this is how I'm going to play, this is what I'm going to have to do, and there are going to be the odd failure. The old Kevin Peterson, Rob. It's the way I play. It's the way I play. That wasn't an impression.
It's the way I play. One more point on the game. Sam Whiteman's ton, mate. First one since he's been here overseas play. Scored two decent knocks, 130 not out and a 60 not out back on week 2. He's been dismissed, other than those, 83% of his innings for less than 20, which is extremely high. The league average is normally around 53 to 55%. So he's getting out a lot early doors, but both times he's got past it, he's made some decent contributions.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm just trying to find it here. Just one last point on Northamptonshire. They had the issues, didn't we? Chris Tremaine had to finish visa reasons. They were supposed to be bringing in big Lance. Was it Lance Morris, the Aussie? They've now signed another Australian right-on fastball, Jordan Buckingham, for the next 3 county championship games as well. 23-year-old, averages 26 for South Australia in the Shield. So he will be coming across very shortly. Bit of reinforcements for Northamptonshire.
Nice.
Right, last but not least, in Division 1, Rob, Essex versus Surrey. Drawn game again for this one. Bit of a shame, really. This one just felt like this game was England watch in a nutshell, wasn't it, with the amount of players available in this. So, batting first, Essex, 314 with captain Tom Wesley, top scoring with 62. Matt Critchley, we keep mentioning him. There's a reason for that. He keeps scoring runs. Not far behind 60 for him. Alistair Cook recorded his first 50 of the season. That surprised me when I heard that. But he snuck in 51. Surrey with the ball, 25-year-old seamer Gus Atkinson took a career best 6 for 68 for him. Well done. And England spinner Will Jacks took 2 for 24. In reply, Surrey with the England past, present and future batting lineup of Burns, Sibley, Pope, Jamie Smith, Folkes and Will Jacks posted 240 with Sibley top scoring with 48, whilst the others, Burns, Pope, Folkes, Jacks, as well as Jordan Clark and Sean Abbott, all made starts but didn't really go on and do much more. Jamie Porter, pick of the bowlers for Essex with 4 for 51. Just notable for Essex to say that Sam Cook was back in this one as well. 74-run lead going into the second innings. Surrey pulled it back by dismissing him for just 198. Jordan Clark taking a handy 4 for 58. Atkinson another 2 and Sean Abbott 3 for 50. Top order of starts for this for Essex in this one as well. Nick Brown going past only I think Nick Brown going past 30, finished on 47. This set up a 273-run target for Surrey in 53 overs. They attempted, didn't they, to have a go at it. Ollie Pope's 58 ball 47 being a pick of the positive knocks, but Surrey really couldn't get it moving once Simon Harmer came on and took 2 wickets in his first over of the innings, which took a while for him to get into the attack, which was slightly strange. Surrey then had to dig in, really, didn't they, with a bat through to the close to secure the draw. Jamie Smith worked hard for his 39 not out of 126. Harmer, though, 2 for 6 off 13 overs. That's nice, isn't it? We like that as a bowler. Shane Tanator and Doug Bracel also finished with 2 wickets apiece. So in the end, that's 5 points for Essex, 3 points for Surrey, who are still in top spot, joint level on points with Warwickshire. Essex in 3rd place.
This was a battle of the contenders for me, because a lot of people said Surrey are going to win the title. You said Hampshire. I put my nose out and said Essex are going to win the title. So, you know, unaffected rain game might have looked quite different. Points to note, Sir Alistair Cook went past 10,000 county championship runs last week. Missed it last week.
Well done, Ali.
Matt Critchley, and I think I've said it every podcast so far this season, he looks $1 million when he's batting. He's got time, he plays great shots, he's got great composure. They didn't get the best out of him last year. His 446 runs last year came at 22, but he got 1,000 in 2021. He's back. This is the player that they've signed. Seems ultra focused on batting rather than trying to do 2 things. And you can do that when you've got a Simon Harmer in your team. So it's not a bad move for him to concentrate on one facet. Angus Alexander Patrick Atkinson, otherwise known as Gus. I was looking through my stats and I was like, who's this AAP Atkinson? I can't find it anywhere. Gus. I've actually been quite impressed. A couple of times I've watched him bowl, gets decent shape, bowls at a decent pace as well, great length. 30 wickets at 26 in his career. That's a really good start to his career, to be fair. And I think one thing that's gone on the radar about this game, it wasn't an easy track to bat on at all. No one made more than 50 other than the first innings. So after then, no one passed 50. That's how that statement works. The one that shone again, but didn't quite do it all the way this time, was Ollie Pope. Exceptional in the 4th innings, tracking the bowlers, straight driving the bowlers, playing almost like he's playing on a different track. Then just played a little bit of a loose cover drive where he was nowhere near the pitch of the ball, didn't really commit to the shot and got caught at cover. Other point to note, Ben Folkes lapping him up last week. He made the 40-40 list of averaging more than 40 against pace, 40 against spin. He was averaging more than 100 against spin since 2020 in Kent Championship Cricket. Second ball, Simon Harmer, LBW, thank you very much. You're now averaging half of that.
That's the way the game goes, isn't it?
Yeah, just interesting games of cricket. Essex have got it tough, mate. They go to Warwickshire, I think it is next, whereas Surrey go to a very undervalued Middlesex team who have been red hot with that bowling attack, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. Just putting on Critchley, I think it's really important what you said there, is that he is focusing more on the batting now, isn't he? Because we started out as really more of a leg spinner that could bat. Yeah. And then he's progressed. You know, he's more of a batter that can bowl leg spin. And now he's really just focusing on being that middle order batsman that can offer you a few overs if you need it. Really useful cricketer and a really useful player down the road. If he can keep scoring runs and putting himself in an England frame with the runs scored, he then has a very, very useful little extra to offer, doesn't he? Especially on a winter, for example, like India. Not saying anything else. I'm just suggesting that if he does get the weight of runs, then that would be a very useful second string to the bow. That'd be the right way. But yeah, coming up as well. Yeah, Lancashire. What have we got? Lancashire, Somerset, Warwickshire, Essex, Surrey, Middlesex. Notts go to Northamptonshire, Kent, Hampshire. There's not an easy game, but it's nice to see all teams play.
I think the Hampshire-Kent one is one they're just chomping at the bit to play.
Yeah, absolutely.
They've got to get some momentum before the break and got to pick up a result. Surrey won't fancy Middlesex. That's going to be a really difficult one. Lancashire, Somerset, you know, they're right down there. Can Lancashire go and perform? Can they do well against that bowling attack? Probably. They've done well for a few years with the bat. But Somerset have got that ability where, you know, I see them as a little bit of an underdog with how they've performed the last few years, that they could get stuck into a team and get through them pretty quick.
Absolutely. I mean, after everyone's played 4 games now, which is quite nice to see finally. And it's starting to split, isn't it, the table? You've got Surrey and Warwickshire top on 60, Essex third 50, Hampshire, Middlesex not far behind on 46 and 45. Then there's a gap to Notts on 37 with Lancashire on 37. Somerset, Northants, Kent 34, 32, 31. So there almost is a 5-team split here at the moment. And I think looking at performances, I think that's probably about right. Lancashire and Somerset still haven't won a game. They're still unbeaten, Lancashire. They've drawn all 4 of those. But it's an interesting one. It's like you look at Hampshire, they've lost 2 and won 2, whereas Essex have only won 1 game, but they've drawn 3. So it's going to be tight up at the top, I think, but it is starting to split off. It's almost like a marathon or something, isn't it, where there's the pack's starting to just leave the field. And it wouldn't surprise me if it ends up being shake up that top 5 in one order or another, and the bottom 5 likewise. So.
Yeah. And, you know, there's a big call. I think we predicted the bottom 3 teams are probably similar to bottom 3 teams that they are right now. It's a bit dog-eat-dog down there, and it doesn't take a lot to get dragged down. And if not, you know, I can't remember if there's 1 or 2 games left before the break. If they don't pick up a win before the break, they're pulled right into contention in that. I want to say Nottingham Forest conversation.
Rightly so. That's absolutely fine. We said at the start of the year, if we can finish 17th after the last game of the season, delighted, and we're hopefully on track.
Division 2, mate. Let's head over there.
Roll on there. So 3 games, 3 draws in this one. So what was the big news in Division 2? I mean, there's other bits of big news, but the biggest for us has got to be the first team action. Return of Johnny Bairstow. So let's start there. Yorkshire, Glamorgan, Rob. Glamorgan got this one underway, putting up a score of 245. Aussie Marnus Labuschagne top scoring with 65. More on him later. Sam Northeast, useful 49, whilst Tim van der Houten finished 35 not out. Aussie Mickey Edwards led with the ball, 3 for 54, with another promising young player, 22-year-old all-rounder George Hill, taking 3 for 62 with his medium pacers. We've got some good young all-rounders called George, Rob. In this country, Balderson and now Hill. Yorkshire then collapsed, being bowled out for just 102. Wowzers. Dawid Milan top scored with 25, whilst young Johnny Bairstow, sneaky old Johnny Bairstow, finished on 20 in his comeback innings, batting at 7 and taking the gloves. Ben Folkes is not happy about that, allegedly. Another Aussie was the star of the innings, though. Michael Nisei finished with a wonderful 7 for 32 that included a hat-trick of Milan, George Hill and Dom Bess, which took Yorkshire, should I say, from a precarious 90 for 5 to an old crap 94 8. I don't think there's any other way of saying that. So we go back to Marnus now, Rob. Glamorgan's second innings. A slightly worrying performance if you're an English supporter when you're looking at the Aussie. As old Marnus compiled a 207 ball, 170, which was a wonderful knock. Guided Glamorgan to 352 for 4 for the declaration. North East 66, Billy Root hit 51. Yorkshire will then set a target of 492, which is, you have to say, credit to them. They had a damn good go at chasing down the final day, despite falling short, ending proceedings on 412 for 9. Spoils shared, 3 points each. But Adam Live, he was a main man, wasn't he? He's played his way through to a magnificent 100, eventually being dismissed with a score on 325 for 5. 220 ball, 174, trapped in front by LBW by a 28-year-old Jamie McIlroy. I want to give him a little mention because he's only playing his fourth first-class game, and he took 2 wickets in this innings, 2 for 57. And that's only his, I think he's got 3 first-class wickets now. So I don't know much about him, but it looks like he'd played for Herefordshire as well. So maybe product of the minor county system there. Played a bit of T20 for Glamorgan though. Johnny Bairstow was promoted up to number 3. We've got to give him another mention, Rob, but he did not trouble the scorers. George Hill though did get a nice 60. Jordan Thompson as well, not out on 55 off just 59 balls as Yorkshire kept the scoreboard moving, but they had to just go through to the draw in the end, didn't he? Tim van Houten, impressive again, 4 for 72. We talk about him every week, don't we? James Harris, 3 for 97. And Michael Neser, wicketless in this innings after taking 7 in the first one. Cricket is a weird game.
Yeah, Neser hat-trick first innings.
And then none in the second innings. Just weird.
Yeah, cracking hat-trick ball as well. Hooping back in. I didn't make heaps of notes on this, but the ones I did were impactful. I was like, Johnny Bairstow back, get in. Interesting. 7 and with the gloves. Are we foreshadowing what's going to go on in the first test of the season, Rich?
That's a good question, and we need to maybe get together and have a bit of let's have our first look ahead to the Ashes. Ireland have announced their squad, haven't they, for the Test match that precedes the Ashes against England. India have announced their squad, haven't they, for the World Test Championship against Australia. Australia have announced their squad, so there's something there to talk about. And the biggest question for England at the moment, I think about the only question really, is does Johnny Bairstow go back in that team? And if he does, where? Ben Foakes is under pressure, even though we both agree that he's the best man. Best keeper in the country, playing for England. And he should probably stay there, but I mean, how do you stop Johnny Bairstow playing?
You can't. No one can stop Johnny Bairstow. He'll headbutt you. Like,
if you're I was just gonna say, if you're a selector, you're almost hoping someone to just like, I don't know, just step on Glenn McGrath-esque, step on a ball and just maybe roll your ankle so you've got to miss a week.
Yeah.
Just so they can make an easy decision. Oh well, he's injured, so we'll have to play the other one.
Yeah, great to see him back. Great to see him back. And shame he didn't get going in that 4th innings. That would have been like Bairstow territory to go. Adam Live said his ton was probably the best of his career. Yeah. Also, County Championship 100, number 25. There's a bit of a milestone not many people got to. 174, fine knock. Timmy van der G, 21 at 21 this year in Division 2, mate. He's up for it. Good. I love it. I love watching him. He's just aggressive and purposeful about what he goes about doing. Big fan of that. And almost, if you think of Marnus Labuschagne batting in Test cricket, you think of someone orthodox. You think of someone really in behind the ball, ran and just working really hard to build an innings over my dead body. This was everything but that. This was just, I'm going to start slog sweeping seamers. I'm going to start reverse sweeping. I'm going to play the paddle. I'm going to end up on my backside playing a little flip over here off the seamers. It was just carnage. Like it was like watching someone play with him on a computer game rather than watching him actually play. But cracking knock, really, really good fun to watch.
Yeah, it's good to see, isn't it? I don't want to say he's an underrated player because he's highly valued, isn't he? Especially at Yorkshire. Yeah. He had his go for England. It's a shame it didn't work out better for him there, but he's just another one of them county players that's just a county stud and should be appreciated very much by us all. Let's keep it rolling, Rob. Let's move to Worcestershire, New Road. They hosted Sussex, and this game was all about a certain international that will be part of the Ashes, and that was a certain Steve Smith. But it ended with an England star being the main man, didn't it? With Ollie Robinson putting up 14 for 117 across the innings, a career best match. Absolutely brilliant from him. But regardless of any of that, this is another game that only really got partway through 3 innings and ended all even. So some good performances in this one, though. And it's another one of those games where if we had a bit more time, this could have been a cracker. So up first, Worcestershire, they put up 264. Ollie Robinson obviously stealing the show. He took 7 wickets in both innings, 7 for 59 in the first one. Adam Hose and Matthew Waite, joint top scoring for the home side, 59. Joe Leach also in the runs, 53 for him. Runner ball, 53 as well. In reply, Sussex, I mean, if just who got the runs? Cheteshwar Pujara, obviously. Star once again, third 100 of the season. The man is a machine. Finishing 136 off 189 balls. Finn Hudson-Prentice, who we spoke about last week, who's starting to really get going now after his move back to Sussex last year. Obviously missed last season with injury. Really good player. Second top scorer with 54, while Steve Smith hit a 30. Before being caught absolutely plumb LBW in front by Josh Tong, which there was no debate whatsoever or discussion on that one. It was plumb, obviously. Quick note. Oh, I don't know. It's a bit like VAR. It depends where you press pause on the video.
I didn't think it was out, but I'd take it every day of the week.
I mean, it hit his pads. It was adjacent to the stumps.
It's hit the pads. It's done half the job.
It's like an old club cricket one, isn't it? It's like, just hit the pads and go up, mate.
Yeah.
I don't like this bloke. And then that's it. Yep, you're out. No reviews there, mate. Josh Tong, well done for you. You've done us a job there. He finished 3 for 89. Joe Leach 3 for 86 after his 50. Finally, in the games, Worcestershire battered through to finish on 251 for 8 with Pakistan international Azhar Ali, finishing on an unbeaten 103 off 279. A real dig-in knock that was, wasn't it? Adam Hose again, 41, did well with the ball. Obviously, all about Robinson again. 8 wickets fell in the innings and he took 7 for 58. A lovely balance of those figures, 759 and 758. Sussex, 6 points for this one. Worcestershire, with their bit of resilience shown, get 4 out of it.
Interesting game of cricket. A bit of a star-studded show, really. I wonder how many international runs there were on show with Steve Smith and Azhar Ali and Cheteshwar Pujara. There's 20,000 Test match runs there. I'm calling it off the top of my head. But I know Azhar Ali has scored 7,142 Test runs, an average of 43. He's now 38. Average is 33 in the County Championship. Question, is the Championship harder than Test match cricket? Probably not, but he's got his third century in the County Championship in 34 innings. It was the Ollie Robinson show, 14 wickets. He has. Now, I'm going to dig deep here. Out of bowlers in County Championship history with 200 wickets or more, he has the 103rd best average. That's not bad. But he has the 13th best average below the bowlers of the matches that he played in. He averages 20.21, 8.13 less than the bowlers in the matches that he played in. So he is exceptional and he's only getting better. 2018, I think he was averaging about 30 with the ball. So his average has continuously come down. And he's put in a lot. Incredibly as well, it's his 4th 7th of his county championship career. It's not even his best. One of them was his 6th best bowling figures. He's had an 8 and 9 wicket haul. And also for bowlers in the county championship since the year 2000, which is always relevant because we had the split from D1 to D2. With 300 wickets, he has the best average in the competition in the last 22 years. Just above Kyle Abbott, just above Simon Harmer, and cheekily under the radar in 4th place with 300 odd wickets, Ben Sanderson. That goes under the radar.
Nice.
Pujara, impeccable, mate. Just makes it look easy. Makes it look... Yeah, he plays a little bit more aggressive than what he used to. But 8 centuries and no 50s since the start of 2022. That's an incredible conversion rate. Incredible record. 1,562 runs, 3rd most in the country since the start of 2022. Dismissed every 157 balls. That's cheat code. I just did this video on the greatest player of all time, touched on David Hussey. David Hussey, during the period that he played, 132 balls per dismissal and averaged 80 odd during the 103 innings he played. 157 balls is quite incredible from Pujara, plus 45 against the top 6 match average of the games that he's played in. So just incredible. One last point. Adam Hose touched on him moving here, trying to reinvigorate a county championship career, and this is his first real contribution, averaging 38 now, strike rate of 53. Good for him. Good move, getting county championship cricket, which he wanted to do, and doing well.
Absolutely. Some good cricket there. Sussex without Tom Haynes in this one. I missed that one. I don't know. Do you know?
Injury.
Did you hear it? Was an injury? Was it? Any idea of the?
I don't. I saw a tweet saying Haynes is injured and someone else was injured.
Yeah, I missed that one, so that's interesting. But yeah, really good to see. Obviously, Steve Smith has been a bit of a conversation, an argument, isn't it, about the benefits of allowing him to play, or the negatives and benefits of allowing him to play in county cricket. I think it's great. I think you look at those players. Ollie Robinson is having a go at him in nets. That can't hurt anyone, can it? these young players are learning from Steve Smith. This is all good for the future. And Steve Smith's not going to learn that much at this point in time in his career. He's played in England plenty. Not so much county championship, but he's still played over here a lot. He's not going to suddenly get the key, is he, or the secret of how to score runs. Although saying that, if he's batting with Pujara may have the secret. He may have something that he can just pass on to Steve Smith. So let's get this wrapped up then, Rob. East Midlands Derby is where we'll end. Derbyshire against Leicestershire. Another game, given a little bit more time, this could have been a first win, would have been a first win for Derbyshire. Leicestershire got off to a shocker in this one, being bowled out for just 122 in the first innings. That man I mentioned earlier when we were talking about Warwickshire, Henry Brooks, on loan from Warwickshire, claimed himself 6 for 20. Wonderful stuff. Sam Connors and Lewis Rees took 2 wickets apiece. Derby showed that you can actually score runs on this track. They put up 350 for 7 before the declaration came to try and move the game along. Captain Lewis deployed, top scored with 94, also in the runs. Wayne Madsen 67, Hyder Ali 54 and Harry Kane 49. Wayne Mulder with the ball 5 for 67. So second time around, Leicestershire did a lot better. Captain Lewis Hill, who's done really well this year, 63 top scored. Peter Hanscom closely behind on 62 and Rishi Patel 58, another man that's done very, very well so far. Chris Wright's 49 not out though, took time out of this one to help Leicestershire save it. Sam Connors 3 for 75 with spinner Mark Watt also taking 3 for 35. This lead to Derbyshire resulted in them being set just 54 runs to win, but sadly it was in 3 overs. However, after lengthy discussion between the umpires, only 1 over was able to be bowled before the game came to an end. It was weird, wasn't it, basically? They had about a 20-minute delay before the game ended, with Colin Ackerman racing through and over to avoid Leicestershire losing a point for a slow over rate as well. The umpires miscalculated, didn't they? They thought they had 3 left, but as it turned out, they only had 1 because they had to take 2 off for change of innings. That's not ridiculous. So Mickey Arthurs basically said if we had 18 balls chasing 54, we would have given it a full crack, but it was a bit harder off 6 deliveries. So I'm not quite sure how they would have won that off 6 balls. so it's a real shame. I mean, that was so close to being a positive result for Derbyshire. So, they don't really get much for it. What's the point situation? Let me just have a quick look. It was 6 points to Derbyshire, 2 for Leicestershire. But it felt like half an hour extra in the game and they would have had a 20-point win, give or take.
Yeah, a bit rough. And it's been a rough season for them as well. They needed a win. Yeah. Both teams at opposite ends of the table where everyone thought we thought Derbyshire would be pushing for promotion and Leicestershire wouldn't spoon in it. But it's been the opposite.
Yeah.
It's such a shame with stuff like that. Derbyshire's bowling improved in this game, and no surprise that Henry Brooks has been a big part of that. I think I called them out last time being the worst bowling unit in the division. How the hell are they going to take wickets? Henry Brooks comes in. He was part of the COVID squad in 2020 for England Test team. Completely forgot about that. He was in the ODI squad against Ireland around that same time. He's played England lines. I watched a bit of it. I thought good pace. Made him 5-wicket haul. Looks a really good cricketer.
Yeah.
Leicestershire. Bowling. Okay, so their batting has done quite well the last few weeks. Lewis Hill's got a load of runs. Ackerman, I think, was minus 65 points in the cricket draft this week. Thank you. That was a bad decision to put. I'm full of bad decisions with the cricket draft. But both teams' biggest problem is going to remain with the ball. Can they take enough wickets? Can they take 20 wickets to win a game of cricket? It's going to be hard for them both. I think Leicester's really happy where they are in the table, but when the rubber hits the road and it's week in, week out, can you continuously put up these types of performances and unearth things like the Yorkshire game and stuff like that? It's hard to do. They travel to Sussex next, or they're at home to Sussex, one of the two. But can you see that Leicestershire team going and bagging 20 wickets against Sussex if they've got Hayne back, if they've got Pujara, if they've got Ali Orr, if they've got Steve Smith, and then, hey, you got a bat against Ollie Robinson, who just took 14 wickets. It's going to be difficult for them. They need a little doff of the cap for where they've got to, but it's going to be incredibly difficult to keep going on that run.
Yeah, Leicestershire will be hosting Sussex and Derbyshire, just to round it out, they'll be hosting Gloucestershire. It's really weird, isn't it? Pujara is obviously clear at the top with 468 runs, but then it is Rishi Patel, Lewis Hill, Peter Hanscom, Colin Ackerman. The next 4 leading run scorers in Division 2 are all Leicestershire. Looking at Derbyshire, Wayne Madsen, 272, is the 10th out of the top 10. And that probably points to a little bit of an issue with Derbyshire as well, doesn't it? But Leicestershire, they're done well. They've made a pretty good start, haven't they? But it's Derbyshire have got to make that run pretty soon. They keep, everything keeps conspiring against them, it seems, to stop them from getting results. This one's the best example so far, but at some point you've got to get a win. There's nothing else you can do. It's interesting as well. Again, we talk about the splits. We've got the split in this division, haven't we? With the top 4 teams have all got wins. Durham top on 64 with 2 wins. Sussex, Leicestershire, Worcestershire, 52, 52, 44 points respectively. And then you've got Glamorgan, Yorkshire, Derbyshire, Gloucestershire, all winless. Glamorgan drawn 4 games. Yeah, it's going to be a tight one, isn't it? Gloucestershire down at the bottom there on 27. It's a tough one. I don't really know where to go with other teams at the minute. Yorkshire look okay, but I don't know. It's a bit of a weird division. You can't really get a handle on it. Hopefully, if we can start getting some drier weather when we get more time in the games, some of these better teams can rise to the top. But you've got to show your class at some point.
Yeah, you got to think that Yorkshire's going to step up. Their batting is a little bit too good for where they are. I've been a little bit underwhelmed with Matt Fisher this year. The games I've been watching, the times I've been watching him bowl, when he was in the West Indies that time, he was called up and I was like, I don't know about that. I've not seen him enough. And in the West Indies, he just didn't move the ball. I think he got a wicket first ball or first over. But other than that, he didn't really move the ball that much. And it's not like I've sat there and watched every single one of his deliveries, but the periods of play that I've watched, I just haven't quite seen someone that's probably ready to break back into an England unit.
No, that's fair. That's fair, absolutely. So, I mean, England as well are stocked, aren't they, with seam bowlers at the moment. So, absolutely. I mean, it's great to see people like Saki Mahmood back and others in and around things. Bit of bad news though, Jofra Archer, he's coming back from the IPL, isn't he? Just talking about England seamers, having a bit of soreness, bit of discomfort in his elbow, I think it is again. So he's coming back for a bit of rest and recuperation. So, to be fair, if he's the only one he's a massive player, but if he's the only one that we're worrying about injury-wise at the moment, we're doing okay. Wokes is there, isn't he? In the background, you've still got Stone there. You've obviously got Jimmy and Broadie have been given a good bowl in the county games. So is Ollie Robinson. Jack Leach is doing pretty well. He's starting to build out pretty well, but it would be a shame if Jofra can't be considered or isn't available for any of the Ashes, but we shall see on that one.
Yeah, it will be. It will be. So that is round 5. All teams have played 4 games. They get the big high 4 going on. And next week, we've got 9 games. This is how it should be. We've got everyone playing 5 games in D1, 4 games in D2, as we start to work our way through to the, I don't know what you want to call it, a midsummer break before summer's even started. Why are we stopping playing cricket? But that's where we're getting to, guys. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching if you're on YouTube. If you don't listen to us on YouTube, please subscribe. It would help the channel. You can catch all the things that we're doing on there. You can see my red shirt, Rich's yellow shirt. Thank you for listening. It's been great. We'll see you next time.